Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining me and my very special guest. You know her from such musicals as Spring Awakening, Carrie, Mamma Mia, and of course from Anastasia, where both critics and audiences alike fell in love with her when she created the role of Anya. And now this coming Sunday afternoon, February 7th at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, she kicks off her brand new concert with Seth Radetsky as part of his Seth concert series that streams right here at Broadway World. Please say hello to my dear friend, Christy Altomare.
Hello, Richard. I'm so happy to be here today. I love that you said she kicks it off because, no pun intended, it's also the Super Bowl. But I say I am the pre-show of the Super Bowl.
I love it. First of all, where are you and how are you?
I am doing fantastic. I'm actually in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, spending some time with my family, still paying for my apartment in New York City. But I think just for now, with everything going on with COVID, it's just nice to be, in your family unit for a period of time until things sort of relax and get a little bit more open and Broadway opens back up.
Yep. So we are now in our 11th month since the New York Theater shut down, and I think it's day 330.
You were counting down the days?
Well, Alan does it for me. Alan at Broadway World counts the days down for me. I was like, oh my gosh. So how have you been handling and dealing with the ongoing pandemic?
I mean, I'm trying to be positive, and I'm trying to look to the good things, which is I have my health, and a lot of people are in worse situations. I have my family with me, and I'm lucky enough that, I'm a singer-songwriter as well. So I'm actually working on my album of original music that I wrote, and it's going to come out sometime in March. So I'm working on things. I'm working on projects. I'm getting to interact with fans and things like that during this time. And so it's you lose one thing and then you gain another. So even though I've lost Broadway, which I love performing more than anything in the world, I've gained so much, and I'm trying to look to the bright side, if that makes sense.
Sure. So what is the name of the new album that you're completing?
It's called A Wandering Bird, and it's 13 songs of my original music. I actually have been writing for the past 10 years, but I've been so busy, as you know, during doing professional shows and Broadway things, that there was never really a time for me to sit down and really focus on it. And I'm also partly helping with the production element of this, so it's really exciting for me. It's just been the best way to occupy my time during this holding period, we'll call it.
Do you have better days now than when the pandemic first started? I mean, I've been talking to so many people during this, and they said it started out really bad, but they still had bad days. Like, what is life like for you now?
Yeah, there are moments when it does hit me. I do think that a piece of myself, I didn't even realize it when the pandemic first hit. I didn't even realize that this was happening to me, but I feel like a piece of me, because all of the jobs that I had lined up went away, and a piece of me felt like it was missing. And even though I do have my music, when I found out, when Seth had asked me to do this concert and I started preparing an hour and a half or so of material, the life a part of life came back into my body of just knowing there's this other side of who I am that was gone and is now back. And even though it's all remote, one thing that is really encouraging to me is, let's say that this does last another year or two, hopefully not. There are new modalities and new things that are being created and done really well, like Seth's concert series, where it's happening live. He's in New York and I'm in Pennsylvania, and he's playing piano, I'm singing, and it's happening seamlessly. I've seen so many of these concerts, and I think more things will continue down that road, and we'll see more and more shows being done on the internet until things can get back and running.
Well, let's talk about this coming Sunday afternoon, February 7th at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Like you said, you're kicking off the Super Bowl. I love that you're doing this at 3 p.m. You'll be doing your virtual concert with Seth Radetsky as part of his Seth concert series that streams right here at Broadway World. How excited are you?
I'm so excited because my entire life, I've done gigs where I've performed a song here or there, maybe 4 or 5 songs, but I've never done a solo show. Like I never did a show at 54 Below. I was always too busy and doing other things. And I thought one day I'll get my solo show together. And so this is like a weird segue into that because it's basically my solo show within the format of Seth's concert series, which is basically a free-for-all where he takes all my songs, and it's kind of like a podcast in a way where we're just going to chat off the cuff. Nothing is planned except for the songs. So it's exciting for me on both levels. One, the off the cuffness, and two, the fact that I've never done something like this before.
Okay, so what are some of the songs that you'll be singing? Like from which shows, which composers, maybe some original stuff? Tell us.
Yeah, so there might be a couple original songs that I'm going to get to sing. That is off my album, really exciting. And I'm going to be doing a lot of like a few mashups and some songs from all of the shows that I've done in my past, along with some new songs. Actually, on my Instagram just a couple weeks ago, I asked all of my fans what songs they would want to hear me sing, and they actually came up with some really great songs, even some songs that I hadn't even thought of that I was able to throw together. So if you guys wrote something down, I just may be playing or singing one of your songs.
Okay, so I love following you on social media, especially this week leading into your show, because there you are with a football doing push-ups with a ball gown on, which I think is absolutely hysterical. Have you chosen your outfit for Sunday yet?
Actually, yes. And I don't know if I should reveal this story. No, I'm going to reveal it. So when March happened, I got really, really sick. Okay. I got really sick for like 10 days, and we'll say I don't know what it was, but I couldn't get tested. Right. So I got really sick, and I was supposed to do this concert, and I went out and I bought this like big poofy dress. I got it perfectly tailored to my body, and I couldn't wear it because I had to cancel because I was sick. So it's perfect because I get to wear this beautiful dress for this event. It is not the red dress you've been seeing me wear in all of my promo videos for this concert. So it'll be something to look forward to.
See, I love that because everyone does this in so many different outfits. They do a pretty top and they have running pants on, or people wear a tuxedo and like boxer shorts. So it's like, because no one ever sees below. So I'm like, you're going the glam route. I love that.
Oh, I'm going full glamour. Yeah. Because you know what? Life is short. And I always say, if you can, just like live it up in the best way possible. And I'm taking this as this is a concert. It's online, but it is a concert. And if you guys were live, I would be wearing the most beautiful, extravagant gown.
You know, how much fun do you think this is going to be with Seth? Because you never know where he's going to go. He may say, oh, sing Nellie Forbush when you did South Pacific, or do a little Guinevere from Camelot when you did that.
Do that. I know. And you know what's so funny is I also feel like I've been in this business so long, and not, for the past 10 years. And so there's so many creative teams that I've gotten to work with, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to forget anyone's name. And if he says, oh, did you like working with this person? So I'm writing everyone down. I'm like, okay, remember everybody's name, because there's so many, and I love everyone I worked with, and it's just such a family. So yeah, between that and having to not know and being on your toes of which song is he going to just randomly start playing, it's exciting for me, but also exciting for people watching to know that I don't even have control of this show.
But see, that's the best part of what he does. And like Kelly OHara was here 2 weeks ago, and Kelly was like, Richard, it all is what it is. She kicked the series off, and she was like, we had internet issues, but we came back. The fans didn't care. It's like, it's a conversation. And back then it wasn't as smooth as like, you're in where you are and Seth is where he is. He's perfected how this is done now.
Oh, it's insane. And he has a whole team around him. He sent me so much equipment that and then we had a whole day where we organized all the equipment together and synced my the headphones they got me with everything. It's unbelievable the setup they've got. And it's gonna take you back. It's gonna make you feel as much as you can like we are doing a live show together in the same room.
Okay, so you're in your parents' house. Like,
Mhm.
what part of the home have you turned into a stage, a studio? Like,
So we're using my basement, which has a lot of meaning for me because it's my childhood basement. So when I was a kid, I would go down in that basement. We would have a big chest of costumes. I would dress up and I would create musicals and songs and call my parents down to watch me and my sister perform. So it's going to feel a lot like I'm going back to childhood, which is the best.
because not only are you a performer now, you have to be a stage manager, a lighting designer, a set designer.
Yeah.
I mean, that must be wild for you, like setting this whole thing up.
It really is. You know what? I've always had kind of passion for editing and like making videos. I think when I came out with some albums, I would do my own music videos and stuff like that. So I think you're right. It's just a part of it being an actor. You'll do an audition and you'll have to do a self-tape. So we always have to have some level of technology under our belt. So even though there's definitely a massive bump up in what is going on with this show. I've had to use all of my expertise to get this thing to be able to tell them what it is that I have on my end. It's definitely crazy, but it's also something I've been doing for a while. It's a little bit of both.
Yeah, it just must make you feel so wonderful to be singing again and putting a show together to do.
Yes, that's exactly what I was saying. It's like I didn't even realize it myself that there's a little piece of me that was missing. And to get to sing these songs and to get to work on my craft, I've been getting to teach lessons while I've been in quarantine and with students and getting to watch other people perform. And so it's nothing like standing in front of a microphone and singing songs again and using my vocal cords for something that I've been training to do my whole life. There really is nothing like it. And I couldn't be more excited for this opportunity to get to not only share a piece of myself, but also get to experience it with all of the fans and the people who have been supporting me for so long. And also Seth Radetsky is literally like, he is what do they call him? The mayor of Broadway. I think of him as like growing up, everyone that grew up in musical theater watched his deconstruction videos. They're listening to him on Sirius XM. I mean, he is the jack of all trades. Then he's writing the musical. He's literally done everything. He's almost like the Ed Sullivan or something of Broadway in a way. And I think it's very much like a bucket list for me to have this opportunity to get to work with him.
You're going to have so much fun on Sunday. Just get ready. But one of the other positives of the pandemic right now is that all of your worldwide fans that are scattered everywhere can watch you all at the same time just by purchasing a ticket in the safety of their own home or whatever. I mean, how cool is that?
It's so cool. It's the coolest thing. And I'm so lucky that the fact that Anastasia was so widely known even before we went on Broadway. We have fans from all over the world, people from Mexico and Germany and Sweden and, all over the world and Australia. And so what's so cool is that just from the comfort of their own homes, if they want to, they can feel like they're a part of it. It's just going to be so cool.
Now, you're also offering a special VIP sound check ticket at 12 noon. Now, these are really great, too, because this is sort of a newish thing that Seth has added. But what I love about this is, people Your fans are going to love this because, you know, everyone normally goes to a show. They sit there, the lights are all ready to go, the curtain goes up, and no one really knows how it's done behind the scenes. And now they're going to watch you and Seth try to put this whole thing together, and it's going to be magical.
Oh yeah, and we haven't done anything, so it's totally, I mean, a lot of this stuff gets thrown together, and it really takes someone like Seth, who is so professional. And, you know, we've been emailing each other back and forth throughout the last couple weeks. He is just such a pro, and he's willing to fly with anything I throw at him. And the fact that we are many distances apart from one another, it's just, you know, I think when you watch it, you'll see it's such a testament to his professionalism, what he is able to do, and the kind of quality he's able to put together. So yeah, it's going to be really fun. I think I always love the behind the scenes stuff. If anybody knows me from Anastasia, I would always do the backstage lives during my show. And so there's nothing like that little sneak peek extra vibe that you get to tap into. And I just love that he's added this as an added element to our concert experience on Super Bowl Sunday.
Now there's also a contest connected to your concert, which I love, which is called the Seth Sing Off Christy Altomare edition. Now, what will that consist of?
So I think Seth plays a bit of Journey to the Past, and people send in their duetting of his rendition, and then they take the best versions, and we get to play it on the concert live for everyone to see. Well, they're not live, but play the recording live, and we get to just basically tell the winners how incredible they are and amazing and talented, and so yeah.
All right, this is extra special because if you find the rules out, anybody can go to the SethConcertSeries.com for the concert rules, but I'll tell you what they are. You have to put a 30 to 60 second video on TikTok with Seth doing this duet of Journey to the Past. And it has to be in by tonight, Friday, February 5th by 11:59 Eastern Standard Time with the hashtag Seth Sing Off Christy Edition. These are a lot of fun. It's going to be crazy when you're going to have to decide who the winner is on this.
I know. I watched Jessica Vosk's recently, and it was insane. There was just a girl sitting in her car belting out, I think it was Defying Gravity. It was unbelievable. People are so insanely talented, and it's just a great way, I think, for you guys, if you're sitting around with your incredible vocal skills, to get to do something fun during quarantine and practice. And yeah, it's going to be a really great competition.
Yeah, but the great thing is the winner receives one ticket to the next 3 Seth concerts. So it's amazing. And there's like Stephanie J. Block and her husband, Sebastian Arcellus, coming up for Valentine's Day. Santino Fontana is coming up. It's crazy.
You guys.
Yeah. Start singing, right?
Yeah, that is a huge deal. I mean, I'm in awe at the amazing talent that has been doing this concert series. I just feel so honored that I get to be a part of it.
Well, I know where I'm going to be on Sunday. So again, Christy will be live this coming Sunday afternoon, February 7th at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then a rebroadcast on Monday evening, February 8th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Seth Concert Series is produced by Mark Cortali. It is sponsored by BroadwayWorld and StreamYard. Tickets are available at BroadwayWorld events and at the Seth Concert SethConcerts.com, and tickets are only $28.50. So I know I'm going to be probably for the sound check at 3 o'clock and maybe even Monday at 8 p.m. Christy, I want to go back to the beginning. Growing up, where did your love for theater and what were your earliest creative outlets? Did they take place in the basement?
Yes, they did. Everything takes place in the basement. I think everyone has their version of a basement if they're a performer. It's either in their room or in the family room. Everyone knows that secret place they go to blast the cast album and pretend like they are the character. I know for me it was, I listened to Rent a lot and Miss Saigon and Christine and Phantom. I would just play, where in the world are you? Have you been hiding? And I just like walk around pretending I'm Christine in these dresses. So So yeah, I think that's how it began. And then I didn't really develop a true love for or an understanding really of the craft of it until I reached eighth grade. And I was lucky enough to be cast in Big the Musical as Susan Lawrence. My music teacher, my director was really cool. He always did like the most like random musicals. So we did that. We did Lucky Stiff. We did Damn Yankees. So yeah, my eighth grade year, I was playing Susan Lawrence, who was like kind of an adult character. And I was 11 years old, 11 or 12 years old. And I'm thinking about, okay, so how does an adult stand? How does an adult talk? How does an adult walk? What is the manner at which I speak to Josh Baskin? So I developed such a passion and a love for just the art of diving into a character and transforming myself. And I think from then on, that passion continued, and I went to college for musical theater at CCM Conservatory, College Conservatory of Music in Cincinnati. And then I graduated and I started working professionally. It's been, a surreal, I like to say it's like a fairy tale story for me.
Yeah. Was there a defining moment for you when you said, I want to be a performer and try to make a living at this?
Man, I think that when I went to school, my parents have just been always like, follow your dreams, whatever your dreams are, you can do, which is really awesome. So they were just like, oh, you want to be a performer? Let's make it happen. So I guess it's sort of a naive way of looking at it, but I was very business minded, but I just believed in my heart that I truly to this day still believe that if anyone has a big enough dream, they can make it happen. And so I just took those little baby steps, worked really hard. And yeah, from the time I decided to go into it for college, I knew that this was something I was going to put my whole being and my whole heart into. And I never knew, like, my goal was never Broadway. My goal was just to get to work professionally and to be the best that I could at this craft. And I was so lucky that it led to Broadway. But I feel ultimately, if you are a creator, just the fact that you are studying your craft and reaching a certain level of excellence should be enough for you. Getting the opportunity to perform for one person is just as rewarding as getting to perform for thousands. So yeah, it's all the same for me. And I'm just grateful to get to be a performer at all.
Yeah. Well, you kicked off your professional career, but with the national tour, the first national tour of Spring Awakening, where you played Wendla. This was a big tour for you, right? There were like 400 cities.
Yeah, it was a huge tour, and we had Spring Awakening had just won the Tony for Best Musical, and I like to say it felt like a second college in a way, because everyone in the show was very young, and we were treated almost like rock stars because we're taking this rock musical to the whole nation. And I think the coolest part about it is that we didn't know how people were going, because there are adult themes in Spring Awakening, and we didn't know how, the South or the North, we didn't know how America was going to take it. And we're in Des Moines, Iowa, and it's sold out and people are cheering from the rafters. So it was quite a surreal experience. And a lot of people from that touring cast ended up to go on and do Broadway shows and TV shows. So and very much like family, they become anytime you do a show for a long period of time, it becomes like family.
What's your favorite memory from doing Spring Awakening?
Oh, there's so many. I mean, I've had so many opening nights and I've gotten to perform for so many people, but I think the most rewarding memory I had was performing opening night in LA at the Amundsen Theater, and Leah Michelle went to go see it. And I was playing Wendla in Spring Awakening, and she came backstage and hugged me and gave me, the tipping of the hat, like saying like, thank you for taking this baby that I helped create and carry it on. And I'm, I got her seal of approval, and that meant so much to me. I don't know I don't even know if she knows how much it meant.
Yeah. That was a big deal, that show. That was a big deal.
Yeah. It was a huge deal. And a lot of, famous people saw it and everything. And that was really surreal as well. But I think for me, like, just the exciting thing of getting to be an actor and putting that, using your craft to help develop a story, and having, somebody who really originated the role. And also now knowing what it's like after doing Anastasia, having originated a role, knowing all the elements that go into it and how hard it is, to have that seal of approval from someone who helped originate a role. There's nothing, it's the creation of a work of art. There's something really, really special about that.
Yeah. Well, you then got to play the role of Sue Snell in MCC's revival of the musical Carrie, which I'm one of the privileged ones because I actually saw the original production because we had gotten free tickets to go. I've told Betty Buckley this. Oh,
that
it's
is
crazy.
Awesome.
And I actually just got my hands on a original Carrie window card. It's not up, but I have it. I haven't decided what I want. It's in plastic. I finally got it. I love the show. Was difficult, but I loved that show. And I loved the production that you all did, but you got to share the stage with the late, great Marin Mazzie. And I was going to ask you, what was it like working with her and creating with her?
She's such a professional.
Yeah.
And so grounded. I think that is one of the most beautiful things about Marin is that she was so focused and so grounded. And amidst all of these young 20-somethings, she was able to really hold that leadership role for us where we were able to look up to her and say, okay, that's what I'm aspiring to. And from beginning to end, she was kind, nurturing, lovely. And just watching her in the rehearsal studio developing, even though this was very much a revival, it felt a little bit like originating because they changed a lot of aspects and a lot of elements of the show. And Marin she was a consummate professional and such a beautiful soul. And she was lucky, and I was lucky enough to see her so many times. After that, she came to see Anastasia a couple times, and I got to talk to her backstage. She was such a beautiful spirit, and this earth is a little bit dimmer without her on it.
She was one of the greatest souls, one of the greatest talents. Do you remember that night? Because I spent that night with your mom. I spent that night with your family at that opening night of Carrie.
Yes, that was such a crazy night. And you want to know something crazy? It's last summer I went to Morocco and I did a little night music, and I got to sing a duet with the original Sue Snell, Sally Ann Triplet, I think her last name is.
Yeah.
But and she and I were singing the song, and then we started talking afterwards, and she was saying how she did when she did Carrie, and I was like, oh, we did Carrie, like we were the same roles. It's so surreal. So everything just came full circle for me.
Remember how cold that was, that opening night? Do you remember that?
It was freezing. And I had this like tight, skinny dress that was like just like spaghetti straps. Yeah, it was so cold.
Because we did all the interviews with you all outside and everybody took their coats off and it was like freezing and the wind was blowing and, you all had your hair done and you were running around in these dresses that you would have worn in 90-degree weather.
Yes, because we were all so excited, it's like the opening of a new show and oh my gosh. Yeah.
I remember that night very, very well. Well, many people were supposed to make their Broadway debuts this past spring and then the pandemic hit. And I hope, like everybody else, that when the theater comes back bigger and better than ever, that they'll be given that opportunity. There's that light at the end of the tunnel now with the vaccine coming into the country and everything else. We seem to get closer to all of this. So I hope they all get to do that. But debuts are really special. And you made your Broadway debut in the role of Sophie in the hit musical Mamma Mia. How magical was your Broadway debut, and what do you remember about that very first performance on Broadway?
Oh, my Broadway debut was so magical. I think the one thing that I was the most surprised about is I think that a lot of the time you would think that you would be so insanely nervous for an opening night performance of anything. But there was a sense of calm within me and also excitement to get to do it. And I think that that's something to do with acting is a muscle, right? And so when you're working out, your muscle a lot, then there's a sense of comfort with it. And so I had just come off doing Carrie. And right after Carrie, I booked Mamma Mia. And we had worked on it for a month before it went to Broadway. My cast went into the Broadway production. And I think because I had been working my muscles so strongly for so long, it just felt like a natural progression. And I always think of that song, A Quiet Thing from Flora the Red Menace, all the time. It's one of my favorite songs. And I think about how it's like when your dreams come true, when it all comes true just the way you planned. It's funny how the bells don't ring. It's a quiet thing. And that's how it felt. It felt like this peace with myself, that I had put all this work in, and I, was so focused on my craft. And then now this beauty of I get to be, it's not like winning the lottery. It's just like a natural progression. And I think that was the thing that surprised me the most about my opening night on Broadway.
Because most people I speak to, they're like, my Broadway debut is a blur. They're like, I remember prepping for it. I remember going into the wings, and then I remember taking a bow.
That was me for Anastasia. That was definitely me for Anastasia, for sure. But for that, I remember it so vividly that I think it was, like I said, it was just this calmness of, I'm ready for this. I can't explain it. It was very strange, but yeah.
All right, we'll get into Anastasia next, because you took Broadway by storm. Critics and audiences alike fell in love with you. Everybody fell in love with you with that show. We were so excited. And that was, of course, the Lynn Ahrens, Stephen Flaherty, and the late, great Terrence McNally musical, Anastasia. So beautifully done. Every element of that show was perfection. So, yeah. I mean, how life-changing was that show and that role for you and what it means to you?
It was completely life-changing for me. It, on so many levels. Oh no, I'm gone. Oh no, can you hear me still?
I can hear you still.
Technology. I was saying Mercury's in retrograde. So
everybody's home with the snow. Everybody's trying to grab internet from somewhere.
Yes, exactly. They're all tuning in just for this one moment of me talking about the greatness of Anastasia.
All the alto heads, they're all tuning in.
Oh, the alto heads. Shout out the alto heads. You guys are amazing. Love you. So yeah, it's surreal. I since I was a young girl, I was a huge fan of Broadway, and one of my favorite shows was Ragtime, which Lynn Ahrens and Stephen Flaherty wrote the music to, and Terrence McNally wrote the book to. And I'm not kidding you. I must have played that song until the two CDs skipped, all the show until the CDs skipped over and over and over again. So I also used to love all the other Ahrens and Flaherty musicals. And, like I said, we did Lucky Stiff when I was in school. So when I booked it, it was like I couldn't believe that I was going to get to work with these people that I had admired for so long. And then when you meet them, they're just the nicest, most warm people on the face of the planet. So that element was so surreal. But then the other element of, I knew I was stepping into this leading role, and I knew that it was going to take a lot out of me and that I was going to put my whole heart into it. But I think the element that I didn't expect is what Anya, the character, meant to so many. And, I would spend hours at the stage door talking to people young girls. Ooh, a phone is ringing. Young girls. Young girls who were adopted from Russia, young girls who told me they used to watch the animated classic with their grandmother or their mother, and and then getting to see it come to life on stage, it takes on another meaning, as well as just getting to play a character who literally steps forward with light, with optimism and confidence, and in the face of fear, ends up moving through that fear and ending up victorious. It's just, the song Journey to the Past, you can listen to it in any situation in your own personal life and it still resonates. So having that element of being a lead of a Broadway show was just something that was so surreal, and it's changed my life. It's completely changed my life for the better.
We had mentioned the alto heads. you are so generous to your fans. You know, people like Debbie Reynolds, who was a dear friend of mine, was the same way. She always, if she ended a concert, she always, like, I did an interview with her once and she goes, do you mind if I go to the stage door first? And I want to see my fans. And I was like, yeah, please. So she always spends an hour. She always spent an hour with these people because they come. You connect. Like you said, when you see somebody live, there's a connection between artist and audience, and the artist learns just as much from the audience. And I'm sure I used to watch you at the stage door. And I remember your closing day, we were across the street at Sardi's for another opening. And while we were waiting for our people to arrive from a play, we watched you across the street. You stayed there and talked to every single person. And I just thought that was so glorious to watch you. We would like turn waiting for our people. We would just watch you just across the street.
And think about it. They stayed there. They stayed there for that long and waited for me. It was, I mean, I was there for 4.5 hours, and they waited for me to have a moment, a last moment. And it's like you said, it is a communion. It is a communion. Anytime you are doing a live production, the audience is just as much a part of the show as you are. So in a way, you're right. It's like a communing with the art form itself at the stage door. And I got to meet so many incredible people. And if there was an opportunity for me to share a little bit of extra light with them or inspire some, I know a lot of people go to the stage door because they have a passion for musical theater as well. And so if there was somebody there that, you know, was excited about wanting to be a performer one day, if I could offer any advice, sometimes I'd give out my email address, sometimes I'd sing a little bit with them, sometimes just give them some words of encouragement or write in their diary. All sorts of requests were fielded towards me, and I was happy to share a part of me because, you know, there's only a brief period of time that you get an opportunity like playing Anastasia on Broadway. And I wanted to make the most of it and be able to shed that light as much as I could and hopefully inspire other people who are going to be leads in Broadway shows one day to continue that light and that giving back as much as possible, you know?
Well, theater is life-changing. It's been life-changing for all of us. Like from the very first day we were, you know, didn't your dad used to take you and your sister to Broadway shows? Did you used to go? Do you remember the first? Yeah, what was the first show your family took you to? Do you remember your first Broadway show?
Yes. Do you want to hear something crazy? My first Broadway show was Cats at the Winter Garden Theater. And the Winter Garden Theater is where I did Mamma Mia on Broadway. And guess who was playing Grisabella? Liz Calloway, the original voice of Anastasia. So everything's just connected for sure for me. So yeah,
it's a crazy moment for you. Like you said, there you are. I mean, do you remember like sitting? I remember everything. I saw Fiddler on the Roof the first time with Harry Goss at the Majestic Theater. It was a Saturday matinee. My mom dropped me off. She and my sister went to shopping at Macy's and they picked me up. I had like an out-of-body experience that you do the first time you go. Like I was by myself. Yeah. I was first row of the mezzanine, sitting dead center. And I was like, I want to live here. I want to live in this world.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I just remember thinking, I think it was around my 4th Broadway musical when I saw Miss Saigon and I was sitting there watching Lea Salonga. And I just remember thinking, how does a person do that? Like, I'm just thinking like, she's superhuman. She's not from this earth. She's not from this earth. And, you know, and I was thinking, I never once thought that I would have that opportunity, but I know what you're saying where you're like, I want to be a part of this magic that is happening in front of you. And it just kind of overtakes you in a way that you can't quite describe. So I might have started off a little too young with Cats, but then, eventually when it got to like, shows like Miss Saigon, and I think I went to see Beauty and the Beast and Damn Yankees. I got to see, oh my gosh, it was incredible, that revival. I don't know if you saw that one. That was amazing. Yeah, with Victor Garber.
Victor Garber, that's right. And then B.B. Newirth, but then Charlotte Dubois went in. I mean, then Jerry Lewis went in. Jerry Lewis went in. And Vicki Lewis, Shoeless Joe.
Anastasia with. Yeah.
See,
She was
that's what
my
I love about the theater. It all comes full circle. Eventually, like you said, you were Kat's Liz Calloway, and then years later, she's the voice of Anastasia, and then you get to play the role on stage.
Yeah, and then Judy Kay eventually filled in for the Dowager Empress, and she was in Ragtime, which obviously I told you one of my favorite shows of all time. So it's so crazy hearing her say the Dowager lines and be like, it's like the CD recording of Emma Goldman. What's happening?
And then there's Derek Klena.
The great Derek Klena.
Well, we do the same thing because he's one of our biggest. We love him at BroadwayWorld, just so you know. He's judged contests for us, but we love Derek Klena. So you got to do Carrie with him, and you got to do Anastasia with him. One of the nicest and sweetest and most talented people on Broadway. What's it like sharing the stage with Derek?
Man, there's nothing like sharing a stage with Derek Klena. He's a giving actor. You know, I really felt every single show he was there with me in those scenes and took care of me. You know, especially when you're in a role like Anastasia, there were moments when we relied on each other. We leaned up against each other. I'll never forget. Well, there were many moments during Carrie as well, because he got to play my love interest during Carrie. But one of the moments was when I was doing my first preview of Anastasia, and I was about to go into the dream world of Dancing Bears, Painted Wings, Once Upon a December. And he gives me the music box. He says, close your eyes. And then he gives me the music box, and he realizes the music box is fully broken. And so he's holding this music box, and he's taking my arm and just squeezing my arm enough for me to get, oh, the music box is broken. Something that has never happened before. But today, on the first preview, the first paying audience on Broadway, where it's broken. So I'm like, okay. And, you know, I ended up falling a little bit, but I had the wherewithal of, okay, it's broken. Like, I knew from his, you know, and there were so many moments like that where I caught him and he caught me, and we, you know, that sort of ping pong is so needed. And developing a character with him is so surreal and amazing, because he's just such a kind person and willing to try anything. And we had such a great relationship from beginning to end, and still do to this day.
Yeah. Well, like I said, we all love him too here at BroadwayWorld. So, you know, but it's so nice when someone has your back like that, opposed to just handing you a broken music box and letting you deal with it on your own.
He's like, you got a broken music. Okay. And you feel it, right? It's this silent knowing between the two of you because you've worked together so long.
You know, one of the other positives of this pandemic is that you've been able to teach online private classes. I know you've been doing some master classes, but what I love about yours is some of your students are like the age of 12 and up. I'm so glad that you let someone, you know, before they become a teenager, to start at that age. How rewarding has teaching been for you?
I never thought that I would be a teacher, and only because when you are training, I always say it takes 10,000 hours to become, you know, an expert at anything in your life. And when you are training and you're so enveloped in your training, you're like, this is so hard. This is so intricate. I can imagine myself ever teaching this. And then, you know, it's really true. You get to that point where you've been practicing long enough where you really do have knowledge to impart. And I have had so many rewarding moments with these young students, seeing them start off one way and ending another. There is nothing more beautiful than seeing someone get it on their face, where you give them a note and then they connect and they're able to drop in. And then I'm always like, was it fun? Were you enjoying it while you were doing it? And they're like, yes. And it's like, that's what it is. Everything fades away and you're just in the moment and you're there and it's fun and you feel free. And that sort of tapping into that freedom is what I try to, you know, get everyone to feel. And when they do, you know, there's that excitement that builds for the craft. And yeah, it's been the most rewarding thing that I didn't know I needed in my life.
And you learn from them too. Everyone I've spoken to who's done master classes said, Richard, I learn more than they do.
Yeah, that's true. You really do. There are moments when, you know, you watch somebody and you get inspired and you say, wow, that's incredible. I'm gonna take that into consideration next time I perform. And you teach enough of these classes and, you know, you just, it's like this whole other art form in a way. It's like this communion with, you know, the meeting of the minds and just the art form of explaining what's going on in your head. And I always try to tell people that, you know, there's so many teachers out there, and if one thing doesn't resonate with you, another teacher might. And it's so important to know that there's not one way to become an actor. And that's kind of the beauty of it is that it is, even in the teaching of it, is an art form, because everybody has their own way to get into that same freedom space. And that's what I love about it, is that I'm constantly learning new ways to express and explain what it is, to tap into that sense of freedom.
I just think that's so cool. Anybody out there who's watching from around the world who is, you know, wants to be an actress or wants to be a performer, you know, just Google Christy's name. You've got a few different places you're doing these in, but I think that's really, really wonderful, because it's like, we never had that when I was growing up. I would have loved to have been signed on to a masterclass and just, you know, watch you and learn, you know, what you did. But you're a heart person. I've been following you from the very first day. And I know there was a switch in your life. I'm not sure when you did this, and this is a great thing for students to learn, where you switched everything: your diet, working out, how you handled the world, how you handled people. When did that shift happen for you?
So I hadn't worked all pretty much for about 3 years. And I always think that you're provided opportunities when you reach your lowest point in life. So I call it my rock bottom, my version of rock bottom. I hadn't worked for 3 years. My boyfriend and I broke up. One of my best friends passed away. Like, it was just everything. My money was dwindling. I was going to have to move out of my apartment in 2 weeks, and or like in a month or so. And I just was at my lowest point. And I remember laying on my floor, looking up at the ceiling and saying, you're either going to end it all or you're going to change everything. And I decided to change everything. So I rewired my brain. Instead of thinking of lack, thinking of abundance and love and light. And so the way I did that, like you said, was I woke up every morning and I was like, what do successful people do? So I woke up every morning and I went for a jog. I do this other thing, which I literally have right here, where I write down all of my accomplishments every single day. After I do it. So when I wake up in the morning, I made my bed. I have it right here. I sent an email out. I have everything that I've already done today. And that you can see at the end of the day what you're doing with your time. And it gives you that sense of joy. And then all of a sudden, before I knew it, I was walking around going, well, I might just I get 2 more weeks left in this apartment, instead of going, I'm only in this apartment for 2 more weeks, And so I flipped the switch and I filled myself with love and joy and excitement. And then I was like, I haven't had an audition in a while. So I called up my manager and I said, get me an audition. And she was like, I don't know, it's kind of hard. I was like, you're my manager, get me an audition. And she's like, okay. And so I was like, I'm ready. And she got me 2 auditions. One was for Anastasia, and the other was for this show called Sign of the Times. And I got a call back for both. And the next day, after that day, they were both on the same day. And after that, I found out I booked Anastasia, and it changed my life. And it's so funny because from the moment that I decided to shift everything and rewire my brain to just think in love and happiness and joy and love for myself, it was a month and 8 days between that moment of making that decision and me booking Anastasia. A month and 8 days.
Beautifully put. I think it's great for everybody to use whatever walk of life they have. And especially now during this pandemic, just do what you do. It makes such a difference. Like you said, to flip that switch to something else. And I thank you for sharing that, because that's a big deal. I think that's really great. Thank you for sharing that.
There's a lot of tricks, but look it up online. There's a lot of tricks to doing it. Yeah.
But it can be easier, just like you say, just switching from dark to light, just trying to do that. And it's the littlest, tiniest things, like making a bed, doing this. And they all add up. Your thoughts are not you. And I think a lot of the times we think when our thought thinks a negative thought, we have to believe it. And we don't. But it's also about forgiving those negative thoughts too. So when you think a negative thought, going, oh,
Yes, I was stuck in a pattern of thinking sadness, but instead I'm going to take this negative thought and look at it this way instead. And that's also the truth. You know, the truth of, oh, my apartment, I'd have to give. And you know what? I didn't even have to give up my apartment at the end of the day because I could stay. I got the job. So, you know, you can always flip it and make anything a negative a positive, anything. And it is a positive, because what is the truth at the end of the day? Make the truth the better option. You know?
Oh, I love that. Write a book. Yeah. That's what you have to do next. You have to write a book.
I want to. I'm going to create an accomplishment book people can use and then write my story before it. So that's my goal after this album is out.
No, because you work in show business. And like I said, the show part of this is really wonderful. The business end is always not. I mean, everyone has to learn how to maneuver themselves through the business end, and that can eat away at your creativity and your positiveness. So I think that's what you've done with how you've handled stuff is really important of how you've done it. Yeah,
it's so important, especially if you're somebody who's in it for the long haul.
Yeah.
You know, if you're somebody who wants the longevity, you have to know it's not always going to be just like, you know, your career always kind of goes like this, even though it may look like, oh, I did off Broadway, then I did Broadway, like then I did another, you know, through that, there's always this. And you ask any Broadway star, they have that. Anyone who's ever been on Broadway, they all have that. So it's a process of dealing with both elements.
Andrew Reynolds told me, he said, Richard, everybody thinks I've just done these 10 incredible things. But he said, in between there are all the dark times and the self-doubts and everything else. And I thought, what a wonderful way to put that all into perspective, that there's, you know, in between these 10 great things, there were times where I'm never going to work again, or I had to push really hard for this. So it's really interesting. So, you know, you've also done the Broadway Princess Party. So I had the three royals on. They were here a few weeks ago before Christmas. Yes, we can bow before them too.
I'm doing curtsy, a virtual curtsy.
Laura Osnes, Susan Egan, and Courtney Reed. I love those girls. I had them on before. Okay, they had their Christmas sweaters on. They had their crown ears and all this stuff. How much fun is it performing with those three, but just doing that concert for the fans?
Oh, it was the best thing that I could have ever done after Anastasia. I was asked, I was lucky enough to do a few other things, and then they called me up because you know, they were like, we need an extra person here, because a lot of times, you know, they're working professionals too, and so once in a while they'll have a city and you know, they'll need a girl to fill in, and I was like, oh, I'll be your fill-in. And it was great for me because I had all of these people that were such supporters of Anastasia, and then they could come and see the Princess Party, and it was like a way to still connect with my fans during that time. And it was, oh my gosh, working with Susan Egan. She's incredible. She is such a powerhouse, not only in business savvy, but also as a performer. And Benjamin Ravela is, I mean, he just won an award, right, for being one of the best cabaret, I don't know.
Yes, he did.
He's
the best. We have to bow because I had Ashley Spencer and Jeremy Jordan were here last week. We had to give a big shout out to Ben then, and then I had my princes here. Ben does so much great stuff for Broadway and for all of you. So we have to bow.
Ben has helped me
so
much.
Prince. What do they call him for the Princess Party?
He's the fairy god fairy.
We all need one. We all need
one. And he actually helped me a lot with this concert. I reached out to him and he put together, you know, some mashups and things. So yeah, he's very much involved in all of the things Broadway, but especially the Princess Party. It's been so cool because you fly out to a place and then you spend the night, and it's like spending a night with the princesses. It's just like a big sleepover, a big princess sleepover, and everyone is just as royal as they are off stage as they are on stage. Like everyone is so sweet and kind and lovable. Really.
Courtney Reed has been our guest judge. You have to be one of our guest judges for Next on Stage, which is our high school and college students singers. They are brilliant.
I would love to.
Okay, so when the next season kicks off, you have to be one of our judges. But Courtney is a hoot. I absolutely adore her. Of course, you know, she's the best. But of course, I also
like a supermodel, right? Like she looks like a supermodel. She's one of the most beautiful people inside and out. So silly, so fun, and the great Laura Osnes. Like the most incredible Laura Osnes, like such a kind, I couldn't have been luckier to have stumbled into the Broadway Princess Party. Those girls are just so insanely talented, so kind, so sweet. And the way that they interact with their fans is so wonderful. After every show, we have meet and greets, and, you know, we get to take pictures with the fans, and it's so cool because so many people love the Broadway Princess Party. So they all come, and we encourage them to come in their costumes, their cosplay costumes. So it's been really neat. Some people come dressed up as Anastasia.
I love it. You know, this hour is just about over. It flies by really fast. But I want to ask you a personal question. What have you learned about yourself during the pandemic?
Man, that's such a good question. I guess what I've learned about myself is that I can be okay in the silence. Yeah. I think that my life since Anastasia has been go, 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 do this, do that. And then when I was forced to take the pause, at first it was scary, right? Because at first you're knocked off kilter. Everything that you had been doing is now stopped, and you're alone with your thoughts. And at first it's scary, and then you realize the silence is so beautiful and so fulfilling. And, you know, the lost time that I've gotten to have with my family, getting to be home and be with them and talk to them. And it's, you know, there's been, it reminds me that when things do go back to normal, I'm going to take the time to spend more time with family and to appreciate the silence a little bit more.
Beautifully put. Now, finally, since Valentine's Day is right around the corner, every year at BroadwayWorld, we ask performers, what is your favorite, or what is one of your favorite Broadway love songs, and why?
Oh my gosh, that's such a good question. One of my favorite Broadway love songs. Well, I like You Shine from Carrie. But let me really think, like, it doesn't have to be a duet, or does it have to be a duet?
Anything that comes to mind.
Okay, well, my favorite love song, this isn't really a love song, but I love the Gershwin song. The way you wear your hat, the way you sip your tea. That no, they can't take that away from me. Even though it's, you know, it's kind of when they're not together. I just think that is such a beautiful song. Do you like Gershwin? Do you like Crazy for You?
Gershwin. I love Crazy for You. Nice Work If You Can Get It. I love all those shows. I love the music is beautiful, but the lyrics, they tell a complete love story. They all do.
Yeah, the story, the specificity of it is so beautiful. Yeah.
You did good choices for you. But I love the Carrie song too.
Yeah. Oh, You Shine. Oh, so beautiful. Yeah. I loved singing it with Derek. He's such a great singer on that song.
That's great. Well, again, Christy will be live this coming Sunday afternoon, February 7th at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with a rebroadcast on Monday, February 8th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Seth Concert Series is once again produced by Mark Cortali. It is sponsored by BroadwayWorld and StreamYard. Tickets are available at Broadway World Events and at thesethconcerts.com. You can just Google Christy. Tickets are only $28.50, and there's that very special VIP sound check at 12 noon, which they are the best. So I guarantee you many of your alto heads are going to be there for that. Thank you so much. I so wanted to catch up with you again.
Thank you so much, Richard. I love you so much. You are also the mayor of Broadway, one of the best, one of the greats of this earth. It's so great to see you.
Well, listen, love to your family, and everybody stay safe. We'll see you Sunday, Monday, and hopefully at the sound check. We'll see you next time. Take care, everybody.